Ghost businesses have never been so important. Why? Well, there's a lot of new laws in the federal government that are passing like wildfire right now. They passed the FedCoin, they passed the Corporate Transparency Act, and that is just the tip of the iceberg. So even if you don't want to be a ghost, you need a ghost business because these new laws and implications on you and your lifestyle and your taxes and your tax bracket, well, you're going to benefit greatly from starting a ghost business. So let's go ahead and check this out in Operation Invisibility. All right, so this is really important. Entrepreneurship is on a massive rise because everything that has happened in society recently. And so ghost businesses are becoming prominent because of CTA, the Corporate Transparency Act. I'll link it up in the cards. I did a whole video breaking it down on what that means to you. And I'll give you a hint, not good things. Now strap in, buckle up. Make sure you stay for this whole video because we're going to break this stuff down. And I'm going to teach you what you need to know to understand how this works. Now, if you want to go deeper into this, you can check out the first link down below, and I'm really going to help you dive deep into building your ghost business. But for the sake of this video, let's go ahead and talk about why this is important. Now, having an LLC is vital for anybody who does any type of business at all, because the fact is it separates you from yourself, right? You've got you who is a person and responsible legally for basically everything you do, and then you have your company which separates, so it's a separate entity. It has a business form of social security number, but instead of calling it a social security number, you've got an EIN, right? You've got a tax identification number. So this kind of keeps things separate with the LLC, a limited liability company. This is great. Now, a lot of people talk about how we buy limited liability companies in places like New Mexico, got a lot of anonymity. Places like Wyoming, created the LLC, has some of the best LLC laws, has a lot of anonymity. Places like Delaware for corporations, great. Nevada has decent LLCs, but that's the topic for a different video. So there's different options you have. Now the first question I get is, should you buy an LLC in the states that you live in? Well, I'm not an accountant or an attorney or a tax person, and I don't play one on the internet, but I wouldn't if I was you. Now, I actually happen to live in a state where LLCs aren't bad, Las Vegas, state of Nevada. But a lot of places LLCs are horrible. For example, I used to live in the state of Idaho, and Idaho has garbage LLCs, literal garbage. I would never recommend getting an LLC in the state of Idaho. I've done it. It's not good. Like I literally did it and closed it because the value is null, right? There's other states like Montana, horrible state for LLCs. States like New York and California, some of the worst. So you really got to look at that. Now, what would you do once you get your LLC? Well, the reason for having anonymity is tenfold, right? It could be to keep the officer's privacy. It could be to keep everything separate. It could be for physical location. I mean, there's a whole list of reasons why you'd want to do that. A lot of, obviously, all celebrities and people who are well-known influencers, well, a lot of them should, actually not as many as you would think, but maybe they don't have the proper advice. But there's a lot of reasons why you'd want to do that. And now with the CTA, the Corporate Transparency Act, coming into effect, it's really causing a lot more problems trying to do that. So getting it now and grandfathering yourself in is important, and setting up your ghost business properly now is important. You really only have till the end of this year, because by January of next year, the CTA has to be in full effect, and then you're going to have a 2-year grace period. The problem is, if you don't have your ghost business in effect right now, then you're not going to be grandfathered in. Now, why is being grandfathered in so important? Do you get a bunch of special privileges? Maybe. There's actually talk that you will. There's actually talk that you won't. What do I mean by this? Well, the ironic thing is, like a lot of bills in America, the bill has actually passed. So the CTA is a thing. However, they had a whole calendar year to really iron out the details, which seems about as shady gets. How can you pass a bill and then you get a year to kind of manipulate it the way that you want to manipulate it? That is ludicrous. But, Luda, not the rapper. I'm talking ludicrous as far as that shouldn't be possible. You shouldn't be able to pass a bill and then manipulate that. At that point, what are we even doing? They just do whatever they want. But yeah, we already know they just do whatever they want, especially in the United States of our president falls up the stairs every day. So what I would like to do is, help people understand why this is so important and why having a ghost business would impact your life. And I get questions on this all the time, which is why I'm making this video, because the reality is I did a video on CTA, but a lot of people are like, why should I have a lot of questions after your video? Me too, because the government hasn't released anything. Now, it looks like a big exemption is going to be trusts, which is good. Another big exemption is if your business does over $5 million, which for a lot of you, that's not going to apply. For 99.9% of businesses, that's not going to apply. So, and they already know that. Again, it's to give a little elbow to the big donors, right? The big people who give them the money, make sure they're covered, make sure they're taken care of. The heck with the little people, we don't matter. It's, you know, the big Fortune 500 companies. They got to make sure they take care of them because, you know, they pay for these politicians. These politicians are a commodity. They're not people. They're a commodity. They're bought and paid for. Imagine if they had to wear logos on their suit of who their donors were. You would never know the color of their suit because it would be all logos and it would be some of the most corrupt corporations in the world. But we just stand for this as Americans. We just stand around and do nothing. So one thing you can do is play by the system, and it takes a lot of work and effort to play by the system. Now, being grandfathered in could help more than we think, could help not as much as we think, but it's better than nothing, and you're basically taking insurance against the future of what they're trying to do to businesses here in America. Now, of course, they sell it as money laundering, and they sell it as drug money, and they sell it as all this crap, but that is not even remotely true. It's another infringement on people's privacy. It's another infringement on people's rights. It's another infringement by the useless president we currently have, who literally said the Constitution is not absolute. I don't care about politics. I don't care who you voted for, Republican, Democrat. They're both pretty much worthless in my book. But if a Republican said that, or a Democratic said that, or a independent, I would have no respect for anybody who says the Constitution is not absolute, and those words actually came out of this guy's mouth multiple times. I have no respect for this guy because he's un-American as American gets, but in true American fashion, he's our current president, which is incredible, impeccable. So the reality is we've got this puppet currently running around trying to get these bills passed, and we've got to figure out what we're going to do. Now, the next thing with ghost businesses, which you got to understand, it's not a way to not pay your bills, not pay your taxes, things like that. But what it is it is a way to be able to structure your businesses to avoid frivolous litigation, which is very, very important. Frivolous litigation makes up almost half of the business lawsuits in this country. Almost half of all business lawsuits are frivolous litigation. And there's also huge groups of attorneys where their whole job is to try to find a reason to sue somebody for some ridiculous thing. It's pathetic, but that's what they're doing, right? That's the whole thing. And so this really helps you because whenever you're dealing with identity theft, whenever you're dealing with these scam artists, it isn't you they're going after easy prey, right? So it's kind of like when a lion goes after a gazelle. A lion can kill any gazelle anytime. But if they pick the fastest, strongest, highest jumping, best maneuvering gazelle, the lion might not catch them, and they're going to have to use all of their energy and, you know, really use all of their power to try to do that, where they can just pick off the weakest link. Well, that's identity theft. That's the federal government. That's how these things work. They try to pick off the weakest link. So if you're doing your thing, trying to run your business, you got your LLC, you live in California, you got a California LLC, you walk into the office, I want to get my LLC. Most LLCs are about $100 to $150. Yeah, no, we're going to have to charge you $800 plus a yearly fee of about the same, plus another $1,000 just because we don't like your haircut. Plus, we're going to need another $250 because you wasted our time. Also, we're going to have to charge you a $5 you talk to us fee and a $10 you looked in our direction fee. Also, there's a connection fee and a $47 you walk through our front door fee. So, yeah, that's about how it works in most of these communist states like California. But, you know, the reality is this is what people are ending up with. And the problem with the CTA that is bigger than anything is the government is trying to price people out of business. So you need to get into business now before they price you out of business, because what they're trying to do is mandate to these states that they charge astronomical fees so the average person can't start a business, or if they do, you pretty much have to take out a loan to file the freaking paperwork. You're filing paper. Now, should you have to file paperwork? Yeah, I think there should be some regulations, start a legal business, things like that. I think $100 is too much for a piece of paper, but okay, you got to pay for someone's time, a couple people sign it, they got to look it over. Okay, $500 is insane. There are states right now where to get a business set up between the LLC, business licenses, and all this state and city garbage you have to jump through. It can cost you a couple $1,000s to start a business in your bedroom. Now, can you circumvent almost all of that? Yeah, you can. And, you know, each situation is different, but when I lived in the state of Washington, I did. It was supposed to cost me like $1,500, and I did it legally for under like $150 or $200. Legally. I didn't skirt the system because there are loopholes, and if you're smart enough to find these loopholes, luckily for me, when I moved to Washington, I already had a very successful business, so I was able to talk to my accountant, and he was able to teach me how to set it up. And my first question is, why isn't this the standard? And it's like all answers. Well, if they can get the money, you know, why not? It's just a system, right? There's a lot of ways in all of your states where we can get your fees way down, but the government doesn't care. It's kind of like when they pass that and you're supposed to have like $35 tabs or $50 tabs, you know, for your car registration. And then, you know, next thing you know, it's 100, well, it's 200, well, it's 500, well, it's $1 billion to register your Hyundai. Okay, this is great. This is freaking great, right? And this is what the government keeps doing. So, yeah, I get asked about a ghost business. Should I start one now? Yeah, you should start one yesterday. And if you want to learn more about it, click the first link down below and I can go much more in depth. Really appreciate you checking out this video. If you haven't already, make sure you subscribe, give a thumbs up, go all in everything you do in life. Stay invisible, stay private, and I'll see you guys in the next video.